Thank you so much. Really appreciate that kind introduction, Jane. Welcome, everyone. So, hopefully, some of you have experimented with AI and will come here with some ideas for what you want to do. Others may never have experimented with AI, so please be patient with them as I do a little bit more clarification of how AI is to be used for meeting planners. Now, I've worked with a lot of meeting planners, so I give talks for meeting planners regularly on AI topics. They invite me to give keynotes at conferences and so on. And as part of doing so, I help them learn, as part of our engagement, I help them learn how to use AI effectively. So that's kind of where my experience comes from. I've also worked with some meeting planner organizations, agencies to help them integrate AI. My expertise, my background, as you've heard from Jane, is in AI adoption and the future of work. And I have a number of books out, articles out about that with MPI publications, other sort of publications. So I have a lot of expertise and experience with that. Now, if you just as a logistics matter, if you want some of the resources that I'll be talking about, including a copy of my book on AI adoption, you should go to the link that you could see in the bottom of the slide, post-training resources. So make sure to go to that link and put it in saying that, hey, you want the post-training resources, and you'll get the post-training resources. It's as easy as that. All right. So let's talk a little bit about AI adoption. Oh, I should probably put the link in the chat. So you should be able to see it in the chat right now. So it's going to be tinyurl.com/DAEEVENT. Again, TINYURL.com/DAEEVENT. Okay, so let's talk about meeting planners using AI. Now, AI can feel overwhelming, and I've heard from meeting planners that they have been overwhelmed with AI usage. It doesn't have to be. You want to focus on easy AI use cases. You want to focus on tools that are going to be adapted to your work and simple to use. So we'll talk about simple, practical starting points, not super complex tools, not anything having to do with coding. We'll talk about no-code, low-code tools you can use to easily start with your AI journey. And then as you can advance, you can start using more complex tools, but I'm not going to be focusing on those complex tools there. This is more an AI 101 and 201 talk, not an AI 301 talk. So let's give an example of how AI can provide clarity to you. One of the nice things about AI is that you can use AI. Remember, please, to keep yourself on mute if you can. Thank you. Appreciate that. So let's give some examples of how you can use AI. Now, one of the nice things about AI is that you can use AI chatbot tools to actually ask them questions about how AI can be used. So this is a meta approach. When you're thinking about how to use AI, you can use AI itself to give you guidance on how to use AI. So here's a prompt. Now, a prompt, a user prompt, is the text that you put into the chatbot window. So that's the technical name for whatever text or images or documents you put into the window. That's the user prompt. So here's the user prompt. In 4 bullets, list the most practical ways AI can help meeting planners this week. And so here you see me using ChatGPT interface. For those who are familiar with ChatGPT, you can see the URL and you can see the logo. And so I'm using here a fine-tuned model specifically created for meeting professionals that I often share with meeting professionals I work with to help them learn and adapt AI tools. So this is a fine-tuned model. It's not the standard typical ChatGPT window that you would open up. It's specifically customized and trained to work with meeting professionals. So here's the prompt. In 4 bullets, list the most practical ways AI can help meeting planners this week. And you could see it answers. Draft and personalize attendee, speaker, and sponsor emails in minutes, including reminders, updates, and post-event follow-ups. Build operational documents fast, such as timelines, run-of shows, staffing plans, FAQs, contingency plans, ready to copy-paste, whatever you want. Review vendor proposals and contracts to surface risks, missing details, and smart clarification questions before deadlines, and then summarize notes, surveys, and debriefs into clear action items, owner roles, next steps, so nothing falls through the cracks. So that's what the AI answers. Now, if you think about these use cases, they're definitely going to be useful for you, and whichever one of those seems like the most priority, you can focus on those first. But all of these things will make you either more efficient or more effective. If by efficiency, I mean using less resources to get the same tasks done. By effectiveness, I mean using the same resources to get more things done or the things done better. And of course, ideally, you could do both efficiency and effectiveness, but always when you think about AI, you want to think about one of those, efficiency or effectiveness. So all of these that AI, that the answer AI has given is something that will make you more efficient or more effective. The nice thing about AI tools is that you don't have to know any coding to use them. Just use plain language. It's called natural language programming, NPL, for a reason. So give instructions in plain language, just like talking to a colleague or somebody else. You can reuse templates, just like you reuse Word documents and Excel spreadsheets. And you can improve by iterating and seeing what kind of outputs you get to improve over time. You don't need IT support at all because this is a tool. So lots of folks, including meeting planners, when they think about AI, they think it's an IT tool that they need to reference and work with IT. You don't. You need to think of this more like as something like Excel or word processing. This is a business tool that anyone who can use Excel or anyone who can use word processing can use these tools. So AI is very user friendly if you know what you're doing. Unfortunately, you've come to this talk, so you'll learn what you're doing. So think of it like Excel, but for everything. Excel is going to be good for math, accounting, whatever, spreadsheet stuff. AI can be quite helpful, but for many more things than Excel. So here's another prompt example. User prompt. Explain no-code AI to meeting planners in 3 bullet points using Excel as the comparison. No-code AI is like using Excel formulas instead of writing software. You just describe what you want in plain language. AI does the work without any programming. Just as Excel lets planners build budgets, timelines, and reports without learning to code, no-code AI helps draft emails, create agendas, summarize notes, and build plans with prompts instead of scripts. The value is speed and accessibility. Anyone on the planning team can use it immediately with no IT setup, no developers, no technical training. All true, all accurate. And again, this is stuff I'm asking AI that's been specifically trained to customize to help meeting planners explain to meeting planners, right? So if you think of starting to use AI, this is a tool you can set up for yourself and use it to learn how to use AI, which is a great technique. What you want to do as you're starting to use AI is focus on perfecting, figuring out user prompts that work well for you by picking a deliverable that you create often, something that's repetitive, something that's annoying, something that you just like doing. Use a short prompt template. So I showed you prompts before, and I'll give you some more examples that are going to be more relevant for specific tasks. This will create a reusable instruction. You can improve it once and then save it and refine it over time until it's perfect and reuse it for every event. That saves a lot of time, a lot of effort. Start small and focus. So here's a simple 4-step adoption method from overwhelmed to empowered. Pick one repetitive task and test that simple AI tool. Use specific and short prompts. Integrate in documents. So create a reusable guide and then share your methods with other members of your team and empower your team to use it with confidence. So that's a 4-step adoption method. It's a little bit more structured when you want to think about how do you adopt AI. Let's talk about some examples. So I talked about this was the generic how do you use AI introduction for folks who haven't used AI before. And now I'm going to get to a little bit more of 201 of how do you actually use AI effectively as a meeting planner. So we're transitioning from 101 to 201. Here's a starting point. Attendee communication. You can save hours on repetitive email writing. How much of your time is spent on writing repetitive emails and trying to customize them to different folks? So keeping tone consistent across messages will also be something that AI enables, and it will help you draft emails very quickly. So here's an example, a real prompt that you can use today. Write an early bird reminder email for a 3-day conference in Nashville, May 14th through 16th. Janet, yes, it'll be shared. So Janet asks in the chat if the PowerPoint will be shared with attendees. Yes. So if you go to the link and put in your link information, put in your information, that's going to be at tinyurl.com/DAEEVENT. I'll send you the PowerPoint as one of the resources. Okay, going on. So here's the prompt. Here's the tone, practical and upbeat. So you definitely want to include the tone of how, so that the AI knows how to chat it. Include 5 subject lines. It's always a good idea to have different subject lines so that you can choose what works best for you. So here is the prompt. Write an early bird reminder email. Here are the subject line options. So you can see the AI created 5 subject line. Early bird ends February 1st. Then save and registration, early bird closes, join us in Nashville, last call for early bird pricing, register early and save. So each of these subject lines will have a little bit of a different feel and tone, and you can choose which one you want to send to your attendees, which is quite useful and beneficial that you can make that choice. So here's an example of the subject line, early bird ends February 1st. And let's take a look at the draft email that AI drafted. Hi, first name, and that's just for your CRM to replace the first name. Early bird registration for the conference name. Again, your CRM can replace that. Closes February 1st. We want to make sure it's on your radar. Join us in Nashville, 3 days of practical sessions you can use right away. Program is built for busy professionals, and so on. And so you can take a look at it and you'll see, I'm not going to read the whole thing, just don't want to waste your time, but you will see that it's quite appropriate. So if you're planning to attend, now is the easiest time to commit and save. If you're bringing a colleague, early bird pricing applies to each registration. We'd love to see you. That's a nice email. It's a nice tone. If you want to make it more urgent, you can ask the AI to revise it to make it more urgent. And if you want to customize it in some other ways, you can ask the AI to customize it in any other ways. So whatever you want to do, you can ask the AI to edit the email on your behalf and revise it to have different outcomes. Or you can copy paste it yourself and of course revise it yourself. So whatever is going to be works best for you. But I suggest you work with AI to revise it first because the AI is going to be useful for you to learn how to work with AI, even if it takes a little bit more time at first. Because once you gain those skills, it'll be quite a bit quicker and easier. Starting point 2, updating stakeholders. So let's say you want to keep your leadership aligned and having everyone with the same information, reducing status meeting time. So reducing meetings with clear updates would be great. So let's take a look at a prompt example. Draft the leadership update and email for an annual conference. Include a 5-bullet read this first section, status, risks, decisions needed, and next milestones. 200 to 240 words. Great. Let's see what AI comes up with. So, hello leadership team. Below is a concise status update on annual conference. Please start with the summary bullets and see details by section. So read this first. Registration pacing slightly ahead of last year at this point. The venue dates and core programs are confirmed. Keynote outreach is complete with strong interest. Budget is tracking within plan with minor pressures on AV. Not critical issues, but 2 time-sensitive decisions are needed. And then that's the bullet points. Then it gives an assessment of what the status is, what the risks are, what the decisions needed are, what the milestones are, and that then finalizing. So again, you see that the AI quickly, easily, effectively creates this. It's nicely formatted. You can ask it to format differently. You can ask it for a different structure. You can ask it for more revisions. Again, saving you a whole bunch of time in the process. And if you want to do this email, that's kind of efficiency. But if you're thinking of it replacing a meeting, then it's even effectiveness because then you're saving time and you're creating a resource that other people that you wouldn't have created earlier, you wouldn't have done an email, you would have just had a meeting. And here you can just have an email that doesn't need to result in a meeting or can result in a much shorter meeting. So that's another example. Let's talk about a third example of backwards planning timelines. So when you need to plan timelines, obviously the lot is a meeting planner, you can make owners and dependencies visible and update instantly when dates change without rebuilding, which is also a big benefit. So here is a prompt example. Create a backwards event timeline for a May 14th through 16th conference. So you remember that conference I mentioned before. Include milestones at 12, 8, 6, 4, and 2 weeks out. Output as a table with milestone, honor roll date, due date, and dependencies. So that's the prompt. And so here you can see again the AI chat interface, and here is the table. So milestone, finalize program framework and key speakers, the honor rolls conference lead, the due date is February 19th. So coming up, 12 weeks out. Venues and dates confirmed. So that's the dependencies. Next is launch registration, early communications, the owner roles marketing lead, due date February 19th, 12 weeks out, and program framework approved is the dependency, and so on. Each of those is going to be appropriately timed with the agenda. And you can change it as timelines change, which of course happens. If you realize something needs to be tweaked, you can do that. And you could see the AI at the end comments. If you want, I can adapt this to include print lead times, union labor rules, or daily on-site focus for May 14th, 15th, and 16th. So if you wanted any of those, you can do that, or anything else that you wanted with your timelines. So you can have a more rich, for example, description of dependencies and dependency timelines and so on. So lots of stuff you can do with this. So this is just kind of a timeline tool for you to use. Okay, let's take a look at another one. Run of show. So when you have the run of show, this is, of course, quite important to have. It reduces on-site confusion, prevents timing drift, clarifies cues and responsibilities. You know how important it is. So let's take a look at a 90-minute general session run of show with a welcome, sponsor video, keynote, awards close, including buffers. The prompt is you're outputting it as a table of time, segment, owner role, AV queue, and notes. So looking at this, this is what you're giving it. So again, everything, by the way, for those who haven't used AI, everything in the gray is the user prompt, is what I'm putting in, the user or you would be putting in, and everything in white is what the AI is responding. So here's it's responding. You're putting in the 90 general minute session run of show, and it's responding with a sample 90-minute general session run of show with built-in buffers. Times are relative to session start. So you have 00 through 05, pre-show buffer and seating, show owner role, show caller, AVQ, house music up, holding slide, notes, door closed at 00, soft walk-in buffer. Then you have the next section, 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 going through all the sections that you might have and go through here. So here is everything that you might want to go through and all the times with 3 to 5 minute increments and 2 minute increments, everything for you to check out. And as the AI says, it can tailor it to a specific room, union labor rules, add speaker walk-on timing and lighting cues. So anything else that you want to add can be added easily with AI because it's just very easy to tweak and change. All right, next. Risk management. So managing risks is obviously something you want to think about, spotting problems before they become crisis, creating clear triggers and mitigations for knowing how to act, and standardizing contingency planning. Definitely a good idea. So here's a prompt example. Build a risk register for a 500-person conference in Chicago in winter, includes snow travel delays, keynote cancellations, registration lines, AV failure, food allergy incident, an output table with risk likelihood, impact trigger mitigation, and owner role. So let's take a look at this. Snow-related travel delays, likelihood medium, impact high, then trigger would be severe weather forecast 72 hours out. Definitely something to think about also in Columbus, apparently, which was not fun as I was coming back from San Diego on Monday and was quite worried whether I would be able to land in Columbus at all. So fortunately, I was able to make it despite some delays. And now I have to shovel out my driveway, which is covered in, obviously, as folks know, foot of snow. I managed like 25% of it yesterday. Stuff happens, right? So, mitigation. Monitor weather daily, confirm flexible speaker travel, identify remote presentation option, pre-draft attendee travel advisory. The owner roles the conference lead. Keynote cancellation, low to medium, the impact will be high. Speaker illness or missed travel connection. Yeah, I always make sure to arrive at least a day early to avoid this, but I know some speakers arrive the morning of, and I do not advise that. Then you have a mitigation of contracting a backup speaker, securing virtual delivery option, preparing leadership stand-in remarks as needed, and the owner roles the program lead, and so on. So you have a number of options: registration lines and wait times, AV failure during session, food allergy incident, everything that you asked for. And obviously, you can ask for more stuff if you want. And as the AI says, it can add an incident response playbook for any of these risks or tailor likelihoods based on season and venue history. So this is stuff that you can all tailor. You can ask AI for further details, further clarification, anything that you want AI to give you further help on. Vendor comparison is another point that you want to think about. Comparing proposals consistently is helpful. Avoiding hidden costs and scope gaps by seeing what's included and creating better questions to ask vendors. So, prompt example. Create a vendor comparison rubric for AV proposals. Weights, reliability 30%, staffing 25%, total cost 20%, hybrid capability 15%, and responsiveness 10%. I'll put a scoring table and 10 clarification questions. Great. So, clean, ready to use vendor comparison rubric for AV proposals.
Name it.
Okay, a reminder to please turn yourself to mute. Appreciate it. All right. So here is the vendor scoring table. You could see the criteria: weight, vendor A score, vendor A weighted, vendor B score, vendor B weighted, and of course, you can add as many vendors as you want. Reliability and redundancy, staffing experience and depth, total cost and transparency, responsiveness and communication, and total weighted score. And of course, you can have other points or other issues that you want to use. You can put in the vendor proposals and have the AI score them even automatically. And then, of course, you can have a human review the scores, but that's going to be relatively easy to have the AI score the proposals. Clarification questions that you can ask vendors to help score this. What redundancies included for critical components like audio, projection, internet connectivity? How many years of experience does the proposed show caller and lead technician have with similar sized conferences? Are labor, overtime, union unloading, or loadout costs fully included in the total price, and so on? So all of the questions that you might want to ask are going to be included in these. And you can ask more questions. You can ask it to come up with different questions. You can customize it to your event. This is all flexible and customizable. Now, what is the Meeting Professional GPT? So I talked about this tool, the Meeting Professional GPT answering the question. Cheryl asks, how are you giving AI the bids? Scanning into the app? Yes, exactly. So you're taking a PDF that you got with the bid and you're uploading it into the tool and you're asking it to review the contract and evaluate the contract proposal, the bid proposal on the criteria that you choose. Yep, so very easy to do. You're welcome, Cheryl. Okay, and again, you can ask questions. If I will answer some of them, if they will not be answered later in the presentation, if they'll be answered later in the presentation, I'll let you know. But yes, please go ahead and ask questions now. And of course, I'll have also some time at the end for you to ask questions. And I can also at the end do some live demos of the AI tool if that will be helpful. Okay, So, Meeting Professional GPT. So, what's a Meeting Professional GPT? That is the tool that I was using before. It's a customized tool that has what's called a system prompt in the backend. So, what's a system prompt? So, I told you about the user prompt. The user prompt is the information that you put in. The system prompt is the instructions that you give a fine-tuned model, which in ChatGPT is called GPT, in Gemini is called a gem, in Microsoft it's called a Copilot, in Claude is called an app. Those are the instructions that you give to the AI for answering your queries and how to answer them and what role it takes on. And so that is really valuable. You can also give it some additional instructions now of a knowledge base in the form of a knowledge base. So, for example, if you're going to be, what I recommend meeting planners do is that they create a separate fine-tuned model for each major event that they put on. Then they put on, you have certain instructions that you give to the GPT for how you want it to respond for the fine-tuned model, and you have the knowledge base from the conference, meaning all the documents describing the conference. So the AI can give you customized relevant information, and you don't have to upload the documents every time to and have it ask questions about it. So creating your personal AI assistant. So you want one general one for everything that you do, and then one for each major project that's going to be specialized for that project. So set a clear purpose and boundaries, defining what it does and doesn't do. This is just for the general one. Define your default formats, tables, bullets, tone preferences, save prompts as templates, and improve weekly based on real work that you can refine its output and the instructions. So let's see what you do. So here's a system prompt configuration. You ask AI to help you create the system prompt itself. And here is the prompt instructions for a custom GPT called the Meeting Professional GPT for meeting planners. Default outputs are tables for plans, bullets for summaries, calm professional tone. Always include on the roles and deadlines when relevant. If critical info is missing, ask for clarification. So here is the system prompt. You are Meeting Professional GPT, a practical assistant for meeting planners and event teams. Your role is to help users produce meeting planning deliverables quickly in clear formats that are ready to copy paste. And focus areas talk about this typical stuff that meeting planners do. Output standards, default to tables or plans, default to bullets, and so on. Planning discipline, clarification rules, behavior constraints. So all of this stuff is a guideline that you don't have to type out separately each time. The AI will keep this in mind when interacting with you and when answering your questions, which is great. Guardrails. Protecting privacy. So lots of meeting planners are, of course, concerned about that. So you don't want to place personal attendee data into the AI, understandable stuff like that. No confidential, you know, contracts that you are worried about. So thinking about stuff like that is, I think it's kind of obvious, but just personally identifiable information is going to be the main thing that you want. And the nice thing is you can ask AI to catch these things yourself. So for example, here's a prompt example. Rewrite this message to remove sensitive details, replace any personal confidential info with placeholders like attendee name or contract term, while keeping the message usable. So here's an example. Hi, Mary. You can call us at 555-5555 to confirm your registration. And here's what the AI puts out. Hi, attendee name. You can call us at phone number to confirm your registration. So you can use AI itself to catch any issues that your team members might accidentally slip in with personally identifiable information, which is very nice that you can use AI itself to do that. Start plan. So here is a 1 week plan to AI mastery with 20 minutes per day. So starting point of day one. So you create an email template that's kind of, it's a very easy task to do. And it's something that I see it takes meeting planners lots of time with all the emails that they need to send. And so creating an email template just automates an easy task that meeting planners don't like doing, of standardized emails, repetitive emails. This makes things quite a bit easier for them. Another is So that's kind of the first day, and that's a good way to start with using AI. Another is a timeline template. So that's going to be day two, a little bit more complex, but not that much more complex. You saw the prompts that I was using. So timeline template, meaning the kind of templates that I was showing with various timelines and tables. So timeline template for common events that you organize. Next, 20 minutes per day. You don't need to spend more than this on each of those. One run of show template. So create a run of show template. Again, iterate it, improve it over time, see how it works, and then tweak it to make sure that the output is what you want. Next is one risk register template. So addressing risks. So again, take 20 minutes to create a risk register template for various things. Next is a vendor rubric template. So the vendor rubrics, and it's a little bit more complex because then you need to upload vendor contracts and evaluate the vendor contracts against the rubric, but yeah, not too challenging. Then a system prompt for a meeting planner GPT that's going to be customized to your needs. And finally, share with your team. So again, 20 minutes per day, you really should be spending this. It's not that much effort. So here's a prompt example. Create a 7-day AI adoption plan for meeting planners. Each day should include one task under 20 minutes and a reusable prompt template. So that's the prompt. And here is what it answers. Below is a clean, slide-ready 7-day AI adoption plan for meeting planners. Each day is designed to take under 20 minutes and produce a reusable output. So task of on day one, create an email template. The prompt template that you can put in as a user would be, as an example, something that you can start with is draft a professional, concise email for a type of audience that you deal with about a purpose which you deal with. Include a clear call to action, tone practical and upbeat, and indicate the length of the word count that you want. Then day two, day three, day four, day five for each of these that I talked about, and then share with your team. So this is just something that you can immediately start with, take away from this presentation and start doing literally today or tomorrow to do. I suggest starting doing it today because you should be able to fit 20 minutes of AI usage into your work. It's definitely something that you can start doing quite quickly. Okay, what about adoption? So let's move on to adoption. So this is like for the previous stuff was kind of more individual, how you are adopting it individually, but here you want to think about adopting it for your team. So you want to use AI as an assistant, not a replacement. Your team members should remain the experts. Standardized templates also help reduce uncertainty, eliminating decision fatigue, meaning you can be more confident about the decisions that your team members take. So with this learning curve is going to be there, but it's not going to be much. It's natural language programming. It's not that hard. Track small wins to celebrate progress and share an internal success story to build buy-in, showing real results. So here is an example of a prompt. Coach me through adoption resistance in my team. Give me a script to introduce AI, a low-risk pilot plan, and a way to measure results without triggering fear. So here is a low-friction approach you can use immediately. The script to you introduce AI to your team. AI is a drafting and support tool, not a decision maker. Definitely not. We're not using it to replace judgment, relationships, or roles. We're using it to save time on first draft summaries and planning documents we already create. Nothing goes out without a human review. We'll start small, test it on low risk work, and decide together what is useful and what is not. So make sure that you get that adoption and buy-in and engagement from your team members. So here's a one low risk pilot plan, and you can ask AI to help you obviously come up with others. Scope: use AI only for internal drafts and planning docs, no attended data beyond role-based placeholders, no external sending without human review. Piloting tasks: draft one email template, build one timeline or run a show, create one risk register or vendor rubric, and so on. And this gives you the full extent of a plan. And as the AI says at the end, if you want, I can tailor this to a skeptical leadership group, union environment, compliance heavy organization, or whatever else you need for your specific context. Now, here are some frequently asked questions from meeting planners. Will AI replace me? What if it makes mistakes? What tools should I use? How do I keep data safe? And how do I get my team on board? And you can let the AI meeting planner tool answer that as well. So Here are concise answers to these FAQs for meeting planners with a tone that's calm and practical. So, will AI replace me? Answer: no. AI supports planning work but does not replace judgment, relationships, or accountability. For example, AI drafts a first version of an agenda, but you decide session flow, speakers, and final contact. So, action step is use AI only for drafts and summaries and keep final approval with a named owner. What if it makes mistakes? Sure, AI can make errors, just like humans make errors. It should be treated as a junior assistant that always needs review. An AI generate timeline might miss issues that you can catch and correct. And so you want to add a review checklist before using any AI generated content. And similarly, what tools should I use? We can talk about that in the Q&A. If you have questions about that, I'll be happy to talk about AI tools if folks have questions. How do I keep data safe? So again, we talked about you can use AI itself to keep data safe, but you should also have policies and guidelines for using it. How do I get AI, my team on board? So you want to have adoption with AI being optional and low risk and positioned as a support with the automation of tasks that are boring that people don't want to do anyway. All right, everyone. So hopefully this was helpful. Your action plan right now is starting with one repeatable deliverable, not a big transformation. 20 minutes a week for 20 minutes a day for the next week. Use short prompt templates and reuse them. Standardized outputs to help you save time and help you standardize decision making across your team. Treat every output as a draft, so make sure to check it as a human. This week, start by building free templates. You still have 3 days left. Use them on real work and share one win with your team. Okay, and post-training resources. So again, go to tinyurl.com/DAEEVENT for the resources, tinyurl.com/DAEEVENT. And also it's going to be in the chat. So again, find tinyurl.com/DAE event for a copy of my book, a copy of today's presentation slides, documents on making AI agents for meeting planners. I'll be happy to have a free coaching meeting with you to help you integrate these tools into your work. Again, that's going to be at tinyurl.com/DAEEVENT. Okay, I'll be happy to take any questions at this stage.
Great, thank you. That was really interesting. I really kind of like the part about asking AI to explain how AI can help us.
Yeah.
And then some of those prompts, those were really helpful. So if anyone has questions, I see one in the chat, or feel free to come off mute. There's the first one in chat, I think.
I think I answered the questions in the chat so far, unless
Okay,
I'm missing
yeah.
something.
All right. Well, I actually had a question. So I was going to ask you.
Mhm.
So one of the things I think with AI, there's so many AIs out there. So I know you
Mhm.
mentioned Claude, so I've never used that one, but is
Sure.
ChatGPT your main go-to?
So ChatGPT is good. Claude Anthropic is good. So there are essentially free AI tools, four AI tools that you should be using. So Claude Anthropic is right now the smartest AI tool, which is why I mentioned it. So of all the AI tools, it's going to be the smartest. They have come out with a model, it's kind of more advanced than the rest. And so if you're looking for more intelligence and kind of which is definitely worthwhile, Claude Anthropic is a good one to use. I was demonstrating using ChatGPT because at the time that I was doing the PowerPoint, then ChatGPT was the smartest, but then Anthropic, which is the company behind Claude, came out with a newer, smarter model. So that's kind of my first go-to right now. Then
Okay.
ChatGPT is quite useful, smart, good generalist model. Google Gemini is the third model, also quite smart, also quite useful, probably about as smart as ChatGPT. So, and especially if you are using a lot of Google Docs, it's going to be very helpful for you. It's also it's better than any other model for images, for all sorts of images, for slides, for any marketing that you're going to be creating. And then, so somebody asks in the chat is Microsoft. So Microsoft is the fourth model. It's Microsoft Copilot, they're licensing their technology from OpenAI. And so Microsoft is going to be just essentially a upselling OpenAI technology. So if you're using Microsoft, you are paying something like $30 a month. And if you're using OpenAI, you're paying something like $25 a month. This, by the way, I'm only talking about business versions. So just to be clear, whenever you're using AI tools for business purposes, I recommend that you get the business version because that means it's not going to be training on your data and you can share it with the rest of your team. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you don't want it to be training on your data, if you want your data to just stay in your own domain, then you want to get the business version of the tools, which for OpenAI is going to be $25 per seat per month. And so for Microsoft Copilot, it's going to be $30 per seat per month. You're getting the same intelligence, but paying $5 extra. It's worth it for if you're a Microsoft shop and you have everything connected to Microsoft, then you're able to get a lot of context quickly and effectively with Microsoft. It's also going to be, from an IT perspective, large companies that are Microsoft shops, they it's often a hassle in the procurement process to get additional software. And so, especially with like, oh, additional software, additional data security risks. So you're just not taking that risk and you're not getting additional hassle by just going with the Microsoft Copilot. And so, with meeting planners that I've worked with in large organizations, they often just go with Microsoft Copilot because it's the easiest tool to get hands on and least hassle with IT, even if it's $5 extra. And then, of course, the last tool that is available that you should not be using in professional purposes is Grok. So that's the XAI tool. The only reason you might want to use Grok is if you're using X and you're trying to like improve your efficiency in using X. Otherwise, you should not be using it for business purposes.
Okay. All right, great. And then we have a question in the chat. Are you seeing organizations creating one login to share with employees? Is that helpful for keeping organizational tone, etc.?
I don't recommend doing that because a OpenAI or Gemini or well, any of these, if you don't purchase separate seats and you're having the same employee, you're having like a team use the same seat, if they might shut down your account. So because they of course want money for each individual seat for each individual employee, so you can get away with it for a couple of months, but I've seen and I've heard from folks whose accounts have been shut down. And so that's you're kind of taking a risk of your data being lost. So what you can do, for example, with you can start with purchasing the minimum amount of seats. There's certain minimums. I think there's 5 for Claude Anthropic, like 2 for OpenAI, probably something like 2 for Google Gemini. I forget right now the details. And then you can expand, that's the business version. Or Microsoft Copilot, you can just get whatever, 1 for 1 because they don't, it's all business when you're getting the business version. Then you can expand you can have people try it out and expand it within the first couple of weeks. That shouldn't be too much of a risk. But if you're going much beyond a month, I've definitely heard of those being shut down and you losing all your past chat history, which is painful.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Ellen, did we answer your question? If your company is Microsoft Suite based, is it better to use this for proprietary reasons?
Yeah, I believe I answered it. I talked about
Yeah.
it, kind of the data privacy issues.
Okay.
Okay.
And then we have a next one. Even with paid, don't we still need to tell it not to use our information?
No, with paid business version, your information is not used by default. So you can go to any of the services and they will tell you that if you get the business plan, which is more expensive and has a certain amount of seats minimum, then they will not train on your data by default. So it's going to be fine. Like I said, my company, we are an 8 people speaking and consulting and training company, and we use the paid versions. Definitely, the business, not simply the personal page. We use the business plan, and we keep all of our proprietary information in there. We're very confident it's not going to get trained on because, for example, with OpenAI wants to IPO at $1 trillion, and the great deal of that value will be lost if they're discovered training on enterprise data, on business plan data. So they have a great deal of money riding on sticking to their terms of service, which say that they're not going to be training on business plan data.
Okay. All right, and then we have a next one for clarification. By setting up different prompts, does this mean you can set up one for professional use and then a different one for personal use, and the information will not cross into each other? For example, using household schedules, finances. Oh, using for household
Yeah.
schedules and finances will
Mhm.
not show up in meeting planning documents.
So yes, you want to just set up separate accounts if that's a concern, and totally understand the concern. Just set up separate accounts. You can set up a separate account for your work and pay for your work, and set a separate account for your household. Now, for your household, if you don't care about a model being as intelligent, and if you don't care about your household schedule being trained on, you can use the cheap paid version. Oh, I think OpenAI has like an $8 version that will show ads, or a free version that will show ads. Or you can get the $20 personal use version that your data will be trained on. You can also, of course, get the business version for your household if you don't want your data being trained on. But if you don't care about whether your household tasks show up in the next training run, which I don't care, yeah, just use the personal version for your personal activities.
Okay, great. And then I see one more. Do you have knowledge on Spark AI built for event planners?
So I don't recommend using tools that are customized for event planners because they're essentially what are called wrappers. They take OpenAI or ChatGPT, they take Claude Anthropic, and they provide it with a system prompt that I showed you, and they provide it with some knowledge base. It's not going to be uh, it's going to be more expensive and worse for you than learning how to use AI tools yourself and building the tools that you need in a flexible manner.
Okay, good to know. All right. Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you again. Just a couple quick reminders for Ohio group. I want to highlight that our signature statewide conference Navigate is coming up here in Columbus, February 23rd and 24th. So I know many of you are already registered. This is our 2-day educational experience that is packed with amazing sessions and opportunities to connect. And any other chapters are invited to attend at our member rate. And just a quick reminder that registration is open until February 6th, so the end of next week. So hope to see many of you there. And then also just wanted to mention to save the dates for some upcoming events, including our new CMP virtual bootcamp that we have coming up. I know that actually most of our collaborating organizations are offering this as well. So we're all kind of collaborating on that. And then a couple chapter meetings coming up here in the spring. So with that, thank you all again. Yes, Jamie, I'm excited to see you there. Thank you all for attending and really appreciate Dr. Gleb. So would like to just give him another round of virtual applause. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Gleb.
Thank you, Jane. Appreciate you inviting me. Thank you all.
All
Hope this
right.
was
Stay
helpful.
warm, everybody. Thank you.
Bye bye.